Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyze the astrological charts of public figures, and very often they are celebrities. And that will certainly be the case today, as the Synastry chart I'll be looking at will be for two very talented, beautiful actresses. We are, of course, talking about Blake Lively and Leighton Meester. So this has been in the making for a while. I've just been sitting on this presentation. Like, I made this like ages ago, but then a few of my members were like, can you do a Synastry reading with Blake and Leighton, please, please, please? And I thought, let's just do it. So we'll see how this goes. And yeah, thanks for the suggestions, guys. If you have any suggestions for Synastries, please put them in the comments below. So there's been lots of talk about Gossip Girl over the years, saying that these two don't like each other. And I just wanted to see if that was true, because there are some issues here. However, they make a really great team, especially on screen. They had really great chemistry on screen, and maybe that's due in part to their acting abilities or something. So we'll figure it out. I just want to understand what their chemistry is and why Leighton Meester doesn't like Blake, because I think Blake thinks everyone likes her. That's what I get. I think she's just a little bit clueless. So yeah, before I dive in, I just want you guys to know I do offer readings. I do 15-minute full chart readings, 15-minute recorded readings. So it's a recording of my voice analyzing your chart. I do synastries, transits, and full chart readings. And then I've got 5-minute focused recorded readings, which are specific areas of your life or areas of your chart you would like insight into. And then I have decided to do the 60-minute Zoom readings, but I'm not doing them as often. So if you would like a 60-minute Zoom reading, book now, because I might be booked up for a few weeks or months. I'm just letting you know, because I'm not going to be doing them as often. I'm not doing them 5 days a week anymore, because I had a mental breakdown. Like, I literally got exhausted. It shows through my work. So please book now. If you would like any of those, it's a great way to support me. And if not, I do have YouTube members. It's £5 or $5 a month, one tier, and you get extra content on there. It's more educational and more obscure celebrity chart readings on there as well. And if you don't want to do any of that because you don't want to spend money, please like, subscribe, comment, click the bell, and help me with the algorithm. I'd be very appreciative. Are we ready to talk about Blake Lively? Let's go. Blake Lively is the inner ring. She's a Leo rising, and she's got a Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all of her personal planets, in Virgo, playing out in the second house. So she's a Virgo stellium, very Virgo, but she's a Taurus Virgo. So she's very front-loaded in her chart. All of her personal placements are in the first quadrant, playing out in the second house. The girl is a bit self-concerned. If you're front-loaded in the first house, generally you can be very self-concerned, like self-obsessed, like you might be perceived that way. That might be an oversimplification of that placement. But it's also someone who's very connected to their physical body, someone who, because the first house is your appearance, right? Like the first house, second house, appearance, belongings, things like that. And she is known for being very beautiful and being a bit of a clothes horse. So that makes a lot of sense with her having a front-loaded chart. Yes, and she does have a Taurus midheaven, and then the reason why she's been getting away with so much bad behavior is because she's got this grand earth trine. She doesn't really pay for her bad behavior. You know, if we take her chart, and I've done a chart reading for her, go check it out, like a chart reading by herself. You'll see in her chart, she doesn't have a lot of harsh placements. What's happening right now is that the South Node's ripping through her butthole. Like, she's paying for everything now. Saturn's opposed to her placements. The South Node is in her Virgo stellium. Like, she's losing a lot of her reputation, money. Like, she's losing everything right now. And she kind of needs to, so she can spiritually evolve. So this will be a very good time for her to look inward. Hopefully she can do that. Now, with Leighton, we don't have a birth time for her. We're going to do the best we can. At least we can see how she impacts Blake and how Blake feels about her, at the very least. She's a Sun and Moon in Aries. So that's really interesting. A Sun and Moon Virgo versus, they're both new moon babies. They're both new moon babies, but one's in Virgo, one's in Aries. They are quincunxed. Like, they're not trined. They're not even, like, they're not sextile. They're not squared. They're not even properly opposed. They just are completely two different beings. And Yeah, so Leighton is an Aries sun and moon, which is a very authentic, independent energy. And then she's also got a north node here. The north node is either, it's on that, I know some people here don't like the word cusp, but the north node is cusping Taurus and Aries. So she's an eclipse baby. She happened. She was born pretty much on an eclipse energy, which is like, I've talked about this before. It's like a bit of a queen energy. Like it's someone who attracts a lot of attention and manifests a lot of good things in her life almost effortlessly. Not to say that she doesn't put a lot of effort, but there's an effortlessness and a royal, she's got this kind of blue blood royal kind of energy. Leighton Meester does. Like she doesn't have to try very hard to become abundant, even though she's come from a very hard background. She has a Venus in Taurus, which is very interestingly like sitting on Blake's midheaven. She's got a Mercury in Pisces and Jupiter is here. She's very intuitive and it sits in Blake's 8th house. She sees this girl. And then she's got a Mars in Capricorn with Neptune. Interesting. And I was going to say that's the hook of Mars, but whatever. And that plays out in Blake's 6th house. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. Okay. But if you look, I mean, there's some T-squares here, but there's a very strong, when you put their charts together, there's a very strong a few blue grand trines. They have a really good combination. That's why Gossip Girl was so successful. That's that earth trine. It's that glamour, that abundance, and them being together. They look good together on screen. They convince us that they're best friends, frenemies, like for a reason. Like it's very, very convincing. All right, let's move down. The unachievable ideal, Leighton's Venus on Blake's north node. So I had heard, and I don't know how true this is, Blake was a bit upset that Leighton had a lot of storylines that revolve around her, because when you watch the series, because I always assumed, I never really watched the series for a really long time. My best friend Selena watched it. She convinced me to watch it with her. And I just assumed that Leighton Meester was the star of the show, and it was all around Leighton Meester based on what I saw in the tabloids and what was advertised. Leighton seemed to be the one. And then I watched the show and I'm like, wait, this whole show is actually around Blake Lively, Serena Vanderwoodson. And I was like, oh, she's meant to be the star. And then later on, when this whole feud got exposed, I was like, that's why Blake is a little bit upset, because Leighton has an effortless beauty and a charisma that Blake just doesn't have. She just, like, Blake is a gorgeous woman. She's a very beautiful woman, but she is kind of like, she's a clothes horse, you know? And what Leighton has is, yeah, she too is a clothes horse, but she's a personality. She's charming. And she made a really despicable character into someone that is so beloved, right? So yeah, the midheaven for Blake, the midheaven in Taurus, that's the highest part of the chart, right? Like if in your chart, the midheaven is the highest point. It's what you look up to, right? It's what you look up to. It's what you want to be, because the midheaven is like who you have to be for the public. It's the highest version of yourself. Now, with Leighton's Venus, and remember Venus rules Taurus, with Venus like right on there, like it's exact. I think Blake had a combination of envy or even jealousy mixed with admiration. And maybe she didn't articulate this to herself or to anyone else, but I think she wishes she could be like Leighton, or as beautiful as Leighton, or as effortlessly charming as Leighton. By the way, Leighton's loyal. Leighton's a very loyal girl, and she does not like bullshit. And Aries, with a Taurus Venus, she wants substance. She wants substance in her relationships. She will befriend a homeless person if that homeless person had a good heart. Like, she didn't give a shit. Like, you know, and she is salt of the earth kind of energy. But yeah, a Venus and Taurus on Blake's midheaven, Blake could only dream. Like, of, you know, it's a good thing Blake's Venus trines her midheaven, so she too is gorgeous and has a charisma of her own. But yeah, I think Blake did see Leighton as a threat based on this. She sees her as a threat. And I also think that if you look here with the sun and moon in Aries, just worlds apart, you know, like Blake is a second houser, right? And her third house is in Libra, so a Libra energy would have been more cooperative. Ryan Reynolds, her husband, has like heavy Libra in his chart, so he is someone that's very familiar to her. Being around Blake is going to force. Blake being around Leighton is going to force her to get outside her small town mentality and expand her horizons. The ninth house is an expansive house. It forces you to expand those horizons, get a higher education, become more spiritual, become more intellectual. Being with Leighton is very difficult for Blake. Leighton forces her to break out of whatever cage that she's in, and that's not a very pleasant thing. So yeah, not only does Blake admire and feel jealous because of Leighton's beauty and charisma, which is effortless, I think getting to know her is also incredibly difficult because from Blake's perspective, she's a bit of an intellectual that she doesn't really understand. She's just an alien in that ninth house. I don't want to go over there. I'm a second houser. I don't mind my third house. It's not far away, but my ninth house, I have to travel too far. I'm not traveling too far for nobody. Especially if I don't have to. I'm a Virgo. I only do things I have to do. You know? Yeah. Okay. Uncomfortable truths. Leighton's Pisces, Mercury, and Jupiter in Blake's 8th house. Yeah, she saw her. She saw her from a mile away. Because their Mercuries are opposite. I think Leighton. Because here's the thing, and I'm an Aries with a Taurus Venus and a Mercury in Pisces as well. I've got similar placements to Leighton. Her mind, her Mercury, which is like it's your intellectual nature, is in an emotionally intelligent, intuitive sign. It's a psychic sign, if you will. So to have that in Blake's 8th house, I reckon she saw all of her mess very early on. I think that Blake was made very uncomfortable, not on purpose, not on Leighton's part, but Blake was very uncomfortable hanging around someone like Leighton who could read her to filth. Absolutely read her to filth. If these two were a couple, let's just say they were in a romantic relationship, Leighton would be able to take all of her money. Like Leighton would be able to take everything from her. If they were a romantic couple and they got married and got together, I think there would be a lot of abundance together. I think they would look good together on each other's arms. But Leighton would take everything. Mercury in the 8th house complicates contractual relationships. And they had a contract with this show, and they had a complicated relationship. But yeah, I really do think Leighton just saw through her and was like, nope. Like this girl is not a very I don't have anything in common with this girl. She's not my cup of tea for sure. Didn't like her. Oh. And she doesn't even have any Aquarius placements that would make Leighton's not even like an open enemy. Like they're not. I think there was a lot made about them being bitchy and hating each other. I don't think it was that. I just don't think they vibed. They were not on the same wavelength. They were colleagues. They were not enemies, they were colleagues, and there was a little bit of jealousy on Blake's part. That's what I think. Because Leighton is the better actress and the more charismatic one. The better actress who on the show that is, you know, the charismatic, beautiful one is not going to be jealous of the one that's beneath her. Like, I'm sorry. I know that was really harsh, but true facts. Competition at work. Leighton's Mars Neptune conjunction playing out in Blake's sixth house. So if you have, because her Blake's 6th house is in Capricorn, that is a work house. It is it's your everyday house, like coming onto set, eating your breakfast, working out, like that kind of energy. It's your everyday humdrum house. And they were colleagues. It's very unsettling to have someone's malefic planet, specifically a Mars or even a Neptune, in your 6th house, because it can unsettle you. It can make things very competitive. Mars is sex and war and competitiveness. And that is playing out. If we look at the whole sign chart, it plays out in Blake's 6th house of work. So there is competition at work. Yeah. And I also think with Mars and Neptune together, that's a really good placement for an actress. A better actress. I mean, I've watched the show. Leighton Meester is the better actress. So, and nothing to gain. There's nothing here. Like, there's nothing here for Blake to benefit off in terms of like status and money and like not even friendship. There's nothing here. There's no planets here. I mean, there's one asteroid here. It's retrograde. It means nothing. Like, yeah, Blake doesn't gain anything from this relationship. I think in her mind, she loses. If Blake was a bit more open-minded, she could get into that 9th house and learn a lot from Leighton, but she's not going to do that. She's not going to do that. Because she's a materialistic and she's a little bit vain and vapid. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I think she's, as a Virgo stellium, she's probably a very good mother. She sacrificed a lot. Let's just get this straight. Blake sacrificed her career and her reputation for her husband so she could be on his arm and make him look good. Like, it's really quite sad. She lost a lot of her sexy years to being a mum. She spent a decade being pregnant. So I think, yeah, she's pretty self-sacrificial when it comes to her family. But yeah, she's not the greatest friend, actually. Like, even look at the way she treats Taylor Swift and the way she talked about Taylor Swift. Not very respectful. I don't think she meant anything by it, but still, that's even worse, right? She doesn't realize that she's being disrespectful and being mean. Yeah, these two, they just don't get along because they're two different creatures. Like, but they look at them. They look great together. It's the dark and the light. They look fantastic. They're gorgeous. And that speaks to this grand trine, this Earth grand trine. Like, it's fantastic. And they're playing out in money houses, in Blake's money houses. Being in association with Leighton may not have benefited her on a personal level, but in terms of the show, the work, it improved the work. Right? I think they work well with each other on screen for appearances. They do work well. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of abundance, but yeah, there's a bit of jealousy. I don't think it's that deep. I just think that they were colleagues, and you can be friendly with your colleagues. And they showed up and they said hello, and then they went home and they went their separate ways. You know, from Leighton's perspective. And I'm in Aries I've got similar placements to Leighton, and I've dealt with a Virgo stellium in recent years, months. They can be really vapid and critical and superficial, and they think they're intelligent. And a lot of them are, in that kind of earthy, very particular, neurotic, keep the wheels well oiled kind of way. They are very intelligent. Emotionally intelligent? Not when they're in their superficial shit. And their self-sacrificial shit, and nothing is their fault, and they're always the victim. Perfect victims. Perfect. They know, like, they play victim better than the Pisces do, I must say. This is when they're in their dark side. I hope the Virgos out there aren't upset too much, but, like, yeah, you can tell I've been burned. And by the way, I have a Virgo midheaven. I look up to Virgos. I admire Virgos. And every time I try to be friends with them, I get fucking shit on. So, yeah. Yeah, I've got some... So when this happened to Blake, I was just like, yeah. Because I recently have a friend, a 1987 Virgo, who broke my heart. Broke it, pooped on it, and then ghosted me, and then came crawling back as soon as that South Node ripped through her butthole. And you know what? You deserve everything you get. Blake, good luck. Hope you can evolve. Leighton, I hope your career takes off because you're a good person and you're stunning and I love you. Blake, Girl, I loved you once, but yeah, you have to pay, and the world will like you again once you pay for your crimes. Honestly, Blake's having a really hard time right now, so I've got a lot of compassion for her. I'm just like projecting a lot of my issues right now. Okay. Can I just acknowledge that? I'm projecting a little bit, just a little bit, but I know that, okay? Self-awareness is key. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the reading. And Virgos, hold tight, be good people, and you'll be fine. And yeah, love you guys. See you next video. Bye.